Hey guys, welcome to On My Shelf. Today I'm talking about how to write an effective query letter. In case you don't already know, a query letter is a letter that is sent to agents or editors when we are trying to get our manuscript traditionally published. A query letter contains some of the elements that will also be used in a book blurb, which is a description of our book that we'll use on places like Amazon or iBooks or Barnes & Noble if we're planning to self-publish. So some of this will be valuable even for the self-published authors out there. The query letters that I have written in my career always have 4 distinct parts. The first is the introduction, where I say something like, "The Midnight Hour is a literary thriller of 80,000 words, written in the style of Agatha Christie's And Then There Were None, and Ian Reid's I'm Thinking of Ending Things." So it's sort of an already published novel meets another already published author. This gives agents and editors a feel for your book and whether or not they will like it. So make sure you pick smart, accurate comparisons, because if you say Harry Potter and your book's not even a fantasy, agents and editors will stop reading almost immediately. The next part of an effective query letter is the body. This is where the book description or blurb goes in. Here's what every blurb contains. 1. The names of the main characters. 2. Something interesting about those main characters and or what they want. 3. The inciting incident. This is the thing that changes everything and creates the whole story. The main conflict of the story. 5. Some complications along the way. 6. The stakes. What happens if the character fails in his goal? 7. An open-ended wrap-up. I'll go into these in more detail on thiswriterlife.com, but for now, I just want to say that with the open-ended wrap-up, try to avoid using a question. Too many people use questions, and agents get a little tired of it. The next part of the query letter is the bio. List things you've done, or books you've written, or accomplishments that you've had in your writing career. And the final section of the query letter is the closing, where you'll thank the agent or editor profusely for taking the time to read your letter. Agents and editors get so many queries every day. It's significant when they take the time to read yours all the way through. Here are the 3 things I recommend you remember about your pitch. 1. Keep it interesting. Don't tell us every single detail. This can get tricky in something like a science fiction or fantasy story that involves world building, but only tell the barest details that matter. 2. Protect the mystery. Make sure you leave the description open-ended. It needs mystery, so we either have to request the book or buy it in order to read what happens. Keep us intrigued and interested. 3. Don't beef it up with things that don't actually happen. This is always a temptation when you write literary fiction. I always feel it when I get ready to write a description. Is it really all that interesting that character A has been dealing with depression for 15 years and that character B is worried that his wife is going to leave him? Literary novels are much more inwardly focused and sometimes don't even have that much going on in them. But deny the temptation to add events that don't really matter in the grand scheme of the story. Characters can speak for themselves. Because I know that oftentimes we learn more from what not to do, I'm also going to include here 3 things that we shouldn't do in a query letter. 1. Make yourself sound more accomplished than you actually are. I equate this with padding the resume. If you haven't had any stories or poems or essays published anywhere outside your blog, don't worry about it. Don't try to make something up. Editors and agents are good at spotting fakes. Don't make it be you. 2. Don't be apologetic. Sure, agents and editors are super busy and get tons of queries every year, but the fact is, you've written a good book. You deserve to have a tiny slice of their time, whether or not it works out for you. Don't sell yourself short. 3. Don't send a letter without doing research. I talked a couple of weeks ago about how it's important to know agents before you send queries to them. It's not only a good use of their time, but it's also a good use of your time. Sending multiple query letters takes a really long time. You want to be as efficient as you can be, so do research. And if you don't know where to do research, check out my blog titled "The Best Way to Get an Agent? Don't Give Up." It includes some valuable links. The last thing I want to say about an effective query letter is don't be afraid to adjust and try again. If you find that your letter isn't getting the responses that you really want, take a look at it with fresh eyes and see where you can adjust. Send it to a copy editor to make sure you don't have any mistakes that might immediately be turning agents and editors away. Give it to a trusted friend and ask them for their honest opinion on whether or not it works. I hope you've enjoyed this look at writing an effective query letter and book blurb. Be sure to visit thiswriterlife.com to access my resource library and for more tips on writing and publishing within the context of being a parent. If you have any questions on the craft of writing, creativity, or publishing, leave them in the comments. For more On My Shelf, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thanks for watching.